Welcome to the Diary of a Side Hustler podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Brooks. Let's get into today's episode. Whether pursuing a passion project or passive income, over 40% of Americans have a side hustle. The Diary of a Side Hustler shares the personal stories of small business owners who turned their passions into an opportunity for profit while balancing life, multiple jobs, and everything in between. Today, I am joined by Ja'Mya Giles. Ja'Mya Giles is a cybersecurity analyst by day and the founder of Village to Village Leadership Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to youth empowerment. She is also the owner of Mya Made Customs, a small business specializing in custom apparel, accessories, and gifts. Her journey has been diverse, to say the least, from preparing to join the Marines to finding the field of cybersecurity after attending a STEM camp. Originally from River Rouge, Michigan, Ja'Mya's journey is a testament to resilience and community spirit. She graduated from Howard University with a degree in computer information systems with a focus on cybersecurity and later settled in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ja'Mya's passion for supporting young people stems from her own experiences growing up in a community affected by drugs and violence. From creating duct tape products in high school to discovering a passion for custom gifts and apparel during the pandemic, from trying her hand in making Spotify plaques, she's always had a business plan, which shines through in Mya Made Customs. Ja'Mya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so super excited. I mean, you are like the definition of a side hustler. Like, girl, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
All the time and always have.
Yes.
So when you were younger and someone asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you say?
I always said a clinical psychologist, and I was like, a child is saying they want to do that. But I think it stemmed from me wanting to help people and just talking to people. And also I was just very nosy and I just kind of always wanted to know the why behind things. So yeah, that's what I wanted to be originally.
Okay. I feel like as a child to say clinical psychologist, like, how did you even know that was?
So we had a career day at our school, and it's when they brought in like people from different career fields. And essentially they gave us an assignment to do like, what do you want to be when you grow up? So at first I thought I wanted to be a therapist. That's what you think of kind of initially. But when I did the research, it was just more of, honestly, what they do now, I can't recall. But at the time I was like, this sounds like what I want to do. It was less of like people work and more so understanding the why behind it. And I think I just clung to that for a while.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's cool. And then you have always been, I feel like, involved in a lot of things, even growing up. When you were, like, let's say, middle school, high school, what activities were you involved in?
I always did cheerleading for Little League. So I cheered from, like, maybe 5 till a little throughout college. And then I also did softball, did City League softball as well. And then I had like some after school programs that I did as well. But yeah.
Okay. And you were also in ROTC, which was a pretty fundamental thing in like growing up for you.
Yeah.
How did you get into the ROTC program?
One of my friends, he was in ROTC, and essentially you get like a recruitment ribbon every time you recruit someone. So he was trying to get his recruitment ribbon. And essentially he was like, come down to the ROTC room. If you don't like it, you can get out. I can get points if you just come. So I was like, okay, I'll come. I walked in. It was this big classroom. It was kind of a world of its own. It was tucked back into the corner. I met the instructor. I was very intimidated. Like, it was just very serious in there. But I was like, okay, I'll help you out. I'll join the class. And then I just never left. So, yeah.
What was it that kept you coming back or that made you actually sign up versus he got his ribbon and I can leave?
We were working out. It was an excuse to stay fit, like just like things like that. But then I think slowly, like I just started to mature into someone else. And I think that was realized by other people before I seen it. And yeah, I just kind of stayed. I don't really know, honestly.
I feel like my high school ROTC was pretty similar. It was this room tucked in the back. I personally have never been in the room. I don't know what's in there. I just know that whenever we had a presentation, they did the color guard. Whatever. So what actually happens in ROTC?
So the instructor loves to preach that, you know, it's not about recruiting you to the military, which it's not. It's more about making you a better citizen. So like just kind of like the community aspect, just kind of learning your history. So every day was kind of something different. So I don't remember exactly, but I know that like Thursdays were our uniform days. We would wear uniforms, we would do inspections, we would do drills. And then other days would be like an actual lesson. So we would do like land navigation, we would do just like history, Pearl Harbor, stuff like that. And then we would have PT days, which were typically Fridays. So that's when we would work out. We would have to do like these annual and semesterly like physicals, if you will, like training tests to see where you ranked. We would do shooting. We would do I think it was like a air rifle, but we would learn like how to shoot, how to call, like how to move over on the target and stuff.
For a period of time, you were going to go all the way. Like, you were
Yeah.
like, wait, like, I might actually make it. How did that happen?
Yeah. So the program is ran by students. And so you have a company, which is everybody that's in the program, but then you have like your senior leadership. So there's the commanding officer, the executive officer, the first sergeant, so on and so forth. So maybe like a team of 8. And so the top 2 highest spots is the CO and the XO. Don't know how they came up with the decision to make me the CO, but they did. So I was
So you were commanding officer.
Yeah, for both my junior and senior year. And I think maybe a few other people before me done that, but typically you just do the 1 year. And so every XO and CO before me either went to school on an NROTC scholarship or they went straight to the military, regardless of like how, like if they were ranked number 1 or number 2, it didn't really matter. That's just kind of what they did. And it wasn't that I had to do it, but it just, that's what I knew, like that's what they were doing. So I was like, okay, I can do it. And so the recruiters, they would come just like for, a job fair, career fair, school fair, the recruiters will also come. And so I got really close with the recruiters. They were like, you should sign up. And at that point, like I was a Black female. I was leaning more towards STEM, all these other things. So like, I think I ranked a little bit higher too for them. So they really wanted me to join. I was like, I'll join. I don't got nothing else to do.
You were going to go to the Marines.
And I was going to go to the Marines. Yeah. I was at the trainings and everything, like the weekly meetups, the workouts, all of that.
You were going to go to the Marines.
Yes, I was going.
Okay. So how did you change your mind and decide not to go to the Marines?
So, it's weird because even though I was going to the Marines and I knew I was going to the Marines, I was still applying for colleges. All of my friends were applying for colleges. I applied for like 27 colleges. Like I was serious. I was applying for scholarships. Like I was just like, let's just see what can happen. And in my mind, if it wasn't the Marine Corps, I was going to Howard. But for the most part, I was still leaning toward the military because it was a low cost option. I just kind of had to show up and show out and everything would be taken care of. But it was just like a random night and I got a call that I got this really big scholarship that I had been wanting. And at that point, when I got that scholarship, I said, okay, I'm going to school because now was it free? No. Do I still have student loans? Yes. But I think that was just kind of like the shift point. Like I don't have to do this. I can go to school. So that's what I decided to do.
Okay. How did you get to cybersecurity?
So also through ROTC, which is a main pivot point for me, I feel like in general, we would do like summer camps. So most of them were just kind of like ROTC, but for the summer. But this particular one was a newer program. It was called STEM Camp. And it was different stuff like digital forensics, robotics, so on and so forth. Like going back to me always wanting to know the why. It's easy to manipulate things like in the cyber world, and it's easier for me to find out the why.
So you've decided that I'm interested in cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. You go to Howard, mm-hmm. and was there anything at Howard that kind of like helped shape you get to your career path mm-hmm. now in being a cybersecurity analyst?
I got my first internship with the Pentagon my freshman year. And so I interned there.
Subtle flex. Subtle flex.
And I did like the help desk.
Still, you were in the Pentagon.
Yeah. And so I actually got that through Thurgood Marshall College Fund. And I think that door provided to me through Howard definitely set me up. Like that was my first time seeing money for real. That was my first time like I was away from home a lot, like with camp and then moving to college. But this was my first time like being in an apartment, making money, going grocery shopping, like serious living. And then from there, I think I just had a internship every summer, kind of doing different lines of work within technology.
So When did you decide that you were going to start your nonprofit?
It's weird because I've kind of always had a passion to do something. Like, I always wanted to have my own scholarship. I wanted to like do for others what was done for me, because again, I don't think I would be anywhere without like my mentors and people that I've mentored. And so I think it was maybe my junior year of college, I think. I think I just wanted to start off with that scholarship, giving back to my high school specifically. It was a stipend-based scholarship, but also bringing in that mentorship piece. Like, I wanted to be able to provide resources to people who just don't have access. Like, a lot of our parents didn't go to college, or if they did go, they didn't finish, or a lot of our siblings probably also haven't. Like, we were all first generational college students, and so are so many people like from my community. And so I think that is really what, because it's not like we can't do it. We can do it. We just don't know like it's really an option and what's out there to help support us through that. So yeah, I think that is what kicked it off. And then I've been kind of just taking it day by day, step by step.
What is the scholarship exactly?
It's for graduating seniors that are plan to attend a 4-year college or university. It also could be a community college. But yeah, you have to have the GPA, to have some type of like leadership desires or abilities. The requirements were very light. It was more so like, tell me about yourself. Like, I want to know who you are. And then what the scholarship is a monthly stipend. So it can range from $200 to $500 a month. And then that stipend can be spent on whatever you want, because at the end of the day, like, college is more than just tuition. You have to get food. You want to go out with your friends. You want to go see a movie.
Have the
experiences. And I think that's something I struggled with when I first went to school, because I was working. So I couldn't always go out, always do something. So I just wanted, especially your freshman year. Your freshman year, you want to have fun. You want to have experiences. You want to meet people. And it's hard to do that when you feel like you can't financially. So yeah.
Okay, what was your job while you were in college?
I worked at a skating rink. I worked at a skating rink when I was in high school, and then it's kind of like a corporation, and so I just kind of transferred to I think they called it Diamonds, but it was a United Skates of America, and so I worked there for my freshman and sophomore year, I believe. And then I started like making websites for people on Wix. It wasn't nothing crazy, but I was making websites for people and business cards and stuff. So I was able to stop doing that, and I made money that way.
You always had a hustle. You always had a hustle. So you were making more money making websites than you were at the skating rink.
Oh, for sure. Because I was in school still, and the skating rink was far. So I was Ubering to the skating rink, like spending money just to go to work. And yeah, and I couldn't pick up that many hours because like I was still in school.
How'd you learn how to make websites on Wix?
We had like classes where we had to like do some type of presentation, and I always did the most. So I was like making like full websites and doing this and doing that
for the presentation.
So
okay.
I was like, okay. But then also within the School of Business, we have like these teams that were put on. We had to do presentations and stuff, and we would just kind of go above and beyond. We was doing QR codes and all this other stuff. So I'm a team leader. The next year, I had like students of my own, and he was like, "Hey, I have a friend who wants a website. Like, can you do that?" And I'm like, I don't really do that, but like, can I? Sure. So he gave me his number. We were chatting, whatever. He was like, okay, I'm willing to pay you this amount of money. It was like $1,000. And I'm like, yeah, I can make that happen.
Yeah, I can figure it out.
Pull the template.
Because the skating rink can't top.
Okay, cannot. So yeah, and then I was kind of like on his payroll for a while, because then he wanted business cards. He wanted like this and that. So
did you get other clients while you were also?
Yeah, I think I might have had like 2 or 3 other. But honestly, like after I started doing my internships and stuff, that money really carried me. Do not know how I made that stretch, but it was stretching.
Yeah, you find out how to make a lot of things stretch.
Yeah,
in college, because them noodles should not have lasted like that long, but they did.
It was lasting.
Okay, cool. You also have Mya Made Customs, which stems from your passion and expertise with arts and crafts. When did you first get introduced to arts and crafts?
So yeah, so my middle school, I went to another Detroit public school, and we didn't really have a lot of like extracurriculars. And so this particular year as well, they introduced an art class. And so we were making like paper mache, piñatas and out of balloons, and like just learning the color wheel and stuff like that. So at the end of the year, my teacher wanted to do an art show. So also during that time, on the side, I had a little side hustle, and I was like making, at this point I wasn't selling them. I was just like making them, and I was making like those duct tape bows, like the wallets out of duct tape. Just
I remember that era.
yes, that was me, and I was the only one in the school doing it. And so I think she may have gotten like, she might have seen me wearing the bows, or some of my friends wearing the bows. And she was like, you should do the art show. Like, you should get a table and like set up. So I'm like, say less. Like, so I went home. I was making all types of stuff. I made a shoe. I made a dress.
You made a shoe out of duct tape?
Yes, a Nike. I think it was like a Nike shoe, a little knockoff Nike shoe. I only made one shoe though. So I made a shoe. It was like a red and cheetah print like dress on one of my friends at the time. Like,
oh girl, you were like crafty for real.
I was like, let's just go crazy. Like, let's just see what we can do. So yeah, so I made all those things. I set my little table up, and then people were like buying the stuff. They were buying somebody bought my one shoe. Nobody bought the dress though, but that's because nobody could fit it. And then, but the girl. And then they bought my wallets. I'm trying to figure out what else I made, but I made like a lot of stuff. They was buying it, so I'm like, okay.
Do you remember how much you made at that art show?
Maybe like $200, but at that time I was like,
middle school, $200 is yeah.
I was up. So at that point, that's when I started to actually have a side hustle, and I was selling like my bows and like my wallets and stuff.
Okay, like after school, you like had to
during
take
school,
orders.
Girl, it was definitely it was during school. It was at the lunch. It was in the classroom.
You had it in your backpack.
Table, yeah.
Were you
I was making them in school too, like on the free periods and stuff. So
did you take custom orders?
I would have. I don't think nobody really had anything special that they wanted, like, but I would have.
Okay, so yeah. Now fast forward, when did you start Mya Made Customs?
I started that in 2022. I'm a gift giver. That's how I show my love, and so I always made my friends stuff. And then also in 2021, maybe 2020, when those viral like Spotify plaques were going around.
Oh, the little glass ones you can customize and like put your song on.
Yeah, custom picture, all that stuff. I was like, I feel like I can make these. Like, these are like a thing. At this point, they weren't super duper popular, but they were like kind of getting up there. So my mom took me to Target, and I think I bought like a little mini Cricut Joy, and then I would start making them. Like, I bought a printer and everything. Like, I was very serious. And so
so you invested off the gate. You was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna buy these, but I'm gonna buy me a Cricut machine.
Because at the end of the day, even if I don't like sell it, because that wasn't the desire. The desire wasn't even to sell them. They was just like, I want this, and I can make it. Like, I can do that. I bought them. I made like a J. Cole. I posted a picture on Facebook, like, love J. Cole, something cheesy. And then everybody was like, oh, I want one. I was in business. At that time, I didn't have like a business name or nothing. I just was taking orders for,
How many orders like were you getting on average?
When I first started, I don't even know, honestly. I think it was like a few hundred. Yeah, it was like a few hundred. Like, I was knocking them out. And then,
and these
I was doing
strangers.
Like bundle deals, like 3 for this, a couple for that. And at that time I was working with like actual glass. I didn't really have no plan. I was going to Dollar Tree and buying frames. Like, then I learned about like the little plastic ones, like the thick acrylic plastics. That was more safer. They didn't break. So it was some trial and error for sure. Some trial and error with that. And after that, like, it kind of died off. I would make stuff here and there. People like wanted something. I was making like custom shot glasses for my friends.
Okay,
like,
so you now expanded outside of just the Spotify plaque.
Yeah, but I hadn't been posting it or anything. I had just been doing it. Also, I don't know if you remember when like they had. Well, I don't know if this was a thing or if I made it a thing. I don't know. But you were the
originator. It was you. You were the originator.
I had these like mini acrylic plaques that I would make. Also the Spotify, but I would put it on like a keychain. So with the like lip gloss and like the puff ball, I don't know if you've ever seen those. Yeah, but I was selling those next, like the little bundle packs and stuff. And I would make like the little initials out of like epoxy and like the glitter and stuff. So I was selling those, but again, didn't really have a business plan, a business name, nothing like that. And then it kind of died off to me just kind of making stuff for my friends. my niece, she's a cheerleader, so I was making like bows and stuff like that.
Girl, you love a bow. Okay.
Bow.
You love a bow.
Love a bow. So then I think in 2020, like I said, always making stuff for my friends and my family and stuff like that. They would like ask me like, "Hey, I need this. Could you do that for me?" I would do it. And then I think I was talking to my best friend one night, and she was like, "You need to stop playing. Like, lock in." So I was like, "Okay." So we came up with a little logo. You know, it's still light right now because I don't really promote, but somehow people are finding me and they're asking for stuff, which is fine. I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that's how I started.
Okay.
And yeah.
And then what happened from there? Because now you also do like grad apparel, Greek apparel. I think you dabble in embroidery, embroidery.
Dabble.
So how did you get from I'm making keychains to I'm making line jackets?
So basically, one of my mentors, she is always like she's an AKA, and so she also like is always getting like crossing gifts and stuff like that for her students because she knows all the kids. And so she was like, I need some mugs, I need some pillows, like I know you ain't never done it before, but I feel like you can do it. And I'm like, okay. That's kind of how I first got started. At this time, I still didn't have a business name, whatever. And then one of my friends from college, she asked me to make her a graduation stole. And I had seen them before, like some of my friends when we graduated, they had graduation stoles. But I just never done it before. But I'm like, okay, like I can give it a try. Made her one, posted it somewhere, and like that blew up. That became a thing. And I feel really bad because that one that I did for her, now that I look back on it, it's kind of ugly. But now I'm actually like that. So if I can redo it, I would. But yeah, like honestly, it was just my friends, my family just kind of be like, hey, can you? And I'm like, can I? And then it just went from there.
Okay. So on average, like how many orders were you getting now that you're expanding beyond just like you're in apparel now?
Orders in general on average, I'd say like a month, maybe like it depends. Like right now in this season, it's starting to ramp up. I think since the start of the year, I've already had maybe like 20 orders. But I know when we get
January, maybe February 1st.
Yeah. And so I think as we get into grad season, I think last year I seen like 60 in 1 month. And then it'll kind of like die off and then come back. And again, I'm not actively promoting this. Like I'm not actively posting. So I'm not really sure how they're finding me, but it all works out. But yeah.
I love that. Mya Made Customs is a thing. And so assuming you've expanded your inventory beyond your small Cricut now.
Yes.
So how did that happen that when were you like, okay, I need to invest more into the business?
Yeah. So the Cricut joy can only cut so much. Like you can't really cut out like anything outside of like a 5x7 or something like that. So I think maybe a year later, before like I had the business name and stuff, I bought a Cricut like Explorer, I think. And then my mom and my sister for Christmas, they bought me like a heat press so that I can make like sweatshirts and move over to like iron on stuff. And then maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I bought another Cricut, a Cricut Maker, and I bought like a refurbished one, which was really cheap because it was much cheaper and does the same thing. But anyway, so now I have 3 Cricuts, and then I have like 2 big printers and like a heat press. I have like a whole craft room now that I workshop out of. So yeah.
Okay, so what does your time commitment look like? Because you're a cybersecurity analyst full time. You also, you said like 20 orders last month. We just started a new one. So that's almost an order a day.
Yeah.
That you're getting. And then also you run a nonprofit. So how do you make it all work with your time commitments?
I think I'm just very big into routine and into schedule. And so I have committed times for certain things. Obviously not everything like works out like that all the time, but like my weekends are fairly open. If I'm doing something on the weekend, it's typically at night. So I just try to do a better job of taking advantage of like my full day. So recently, really just this year, I've been waking up a lot earlier. So yeah, I don't know honestly, because it does not take me that long to produce these things. Like I kind of just fit them in like 5 at a time. I work like kind of in batches, and it's been working. I mean, we'll have to readjust as needed, but like it's just kind of been working. I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel like stressed. I used to, especially when people would ask me for stuff like I've never done. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but it all works out every time. So yeah, and like even like one of my other friends, her niece does like these drawings and these paintings, and she really wanted to turn it into a tote bag. I'm like, girl, I don't know. Like, so yeah, then I got it like, I bought a sewing machine a little while ago. I had never used that sewing machine, never used it. And then she was like, I need a tote bag out of this. And we made it happen. So I think it just kind of depends.
I feel like hearing you talk, for a lot of the endeavors that you got into, someone saw something in you, and they spoke life into you, and then you were like, well, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that you also have a nonprofit that is really big on mentorship. And so we talked about the scholarship, but can you also give an overview of the nonprofit in general?
Yeah. So again, that mentorship piece is really big. There's 2 programs that we offer. The first one is the Bridge program. So that's a high school student that's paired with a college student, and then that same college student is paired with a career professional. And so it's just like a 3-tier intergenerational. That's like the vibe of the whole organization is that it's an intergenerational sharing program. And so the idea is to connect you with someone that you can mentor but also learn from, and then somebody that can mentor you and they can also learn from you. And so the goal is to get you from high school to college. What does that transition look like? What does that pipeline look like? And then from college to a career, not just a job, but a career. And then also when you're in that career, how do you seek upward mobility? So that's the goal of the Bridge program. And then there's like, monthly meetings and all that good stuff. And then the other program that we offer is the Diamond in the Rough program. That's a newer program that I'm hoping to launch this school year coming up, but it is a leadership academy, if you will, for middle school girls 6 through 8. And the first semester is going to be focused on like mental health, kind of just like emotional self-worth, self-confidence, and it'll end with an art show, kind of like a gallery, if you will, art gallery of self-portraits that they'll paint. And then the second semester is more on like leadership, community, and it'll end with a beauty pageant, where they get to kind of just display all the things that they learned throughout the year, and it'll be like a diamond of the season kind of vibe.
Okay, we love Bridgerton.
Yeah,
the diamond of the season.
Yeah,
we love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any experiences as you think back to you growing up of something a mentor did or said that spoke life into you that fueled where you are today? Because there are things that's like, oh, okay, they asked me to try it, I did it, and it worked out. But are there moments of like, if that person did not say that to me, I don't know if I would have made this decision that brought me here?
I don't know if I can recall exact words, but just... and tons of people have poured into me tremendously, but I'll definitely go to like my Marine instructor. He was just very adamant on the fact that like you make up your own story. You're capable of like anything you say you want to do, you can do that. You just have to do it. Like it could be that simple. I think it was a mindset shift that I gained, like being in ROTC, like because it was ran by us, a lot of decisions we had to make, like he was just kind of there for to oversee. So I do think just that process in general, that time, 4 years over the summer, over the winter, like nonstop, like it was just a mindset shift and a sense of discipline and responsibility that I got that definitely has like just kind of like shifted me to be more of a servant leader, serving but leading at the same time. So okay. Yeah.
Do you feel like from ROTC, I've seen you move, and I say this with no negative connotation of it's militant. Yeah. Like it's very, this is what we said we're going to do. We're going to get it done.
Yeah.
How has that like personality trait showed up? And I feel like not everyone, I love it.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Ja'Mya also like leads for my nonprofit. Love having her on the team. Like
Yeah.
if you give Ja'Mya something, it's getting done.
It's
No
gonna get
questions
done.
asked.
Yeah.
All the things. But I feel like for other people, it may be overwhelming. It may be intimidating. How have you seen that show up of that being your vibe and that be the energy that you lead with?
I think it depends because I also like to have a lot of fun. I think when it's time to lock in, it's time to lock in. I think at first it can be a lot for some people, but then when you get to know me, it's like, okay, she's cool. Like, for example, I think the only thing I can remember is us being in that 21 cap program and I'm on a team with 6 other Jemias. So it's like
Everybody can't
everybody
be Ja'Mya.
can't be Ja'Mya. Like, not too much, but like everybody can't be the lead. You know what I mean? And I don't think I don't mean to be like that. It's just kind of like that's just kind of how I'm wired. So yeah. But like in terms of like my friends and stuff, like I'm not like that on the day to day. But if we're planning a trip, typically they just let me plan it. And then they're like, okay, just tell me what it's in the money. So it kind of just works out. Like a lot of my friends are like, I think I'm definitely like an A type. I think I have some other A type friends, but they're not as like militant as I am. And I think it's necessary. You need at least one person.
You have to have one.
Yeah.
The other day, someone called me strict, and I was like, "Me? You think I'm strict? I feel like I'm very, private."
See, that's what we think, and maybe not. Maybe not all the time. Sometimes you got to be strict. Sometimes somebody has to be strict. So
you have a lot of passion projects, a lot of side hustles. Is there any one that brings you more joy than the others?
In terms of my passion projects, I would probably say for the village, like the mentor giving back community side of it, I would say that I'm really, really excited about the Diamond in the Rough program. I've never done it. If I say that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's just kind of how I'm set up. I don't really know right now what the plan is, like from A to Z, but I got from A to D. So I think that's where I am right now with that. But I'm really excited about that. And then on the other side with my Mya Made Customs, I love doing things just for fun. I feel like the business piece of it is nice because I get to make money off of my passion. But like when I'm just creating for fun for myself, like when I went to my birthday trip to Thailand, I made all of my friends like goodie bags and stuff. And so I've made a lot of different things that I've never made before. And well, now I get to sell it. But like I just enjoy creating like for leisure.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's super cool. Have you ever considered quitting?
No, I don't think so. The village to village piece, I don't feel like I've really gotten into the thick of it yet. So not yet. But for the Mya Made Customs piece, I do think in the beginning it was a little overwhelming because I did not know how these people were placing orders and reaching out to me, and they would ask for outrageous things.
What's the most outrageous thing someone asked for?
Let me see. Let me think. The tote bag was crazy because I'm like, how am I supposed to get this picture on fabric to make a tote bag? But I think also like the outrageousness came from like when I had my peak season is grad season, and these people will be reaching out 4 days before their graduation, and they will be asking for like packs of things and bulks of things, and I'm like, I don't know, but I was like, okay, it's gonna be a rush order fee. They were like, okay, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll do it then. So yeah, I think it was just kind of like I also don't know how to say no sometimes, and so I would overwhelm myself maybe. But yeah.
So you see yourself considering continuing to do all three long term?
Long term, I don't know. Right now, yes. I think ideally I'll move out of the corporate space and strictly into my nonprofit with Mya Made on the side. I think that'll definitely be always a piece of me. Even Mya Made Customs, even if it's not like a business, like I look forward to having kids one day, making stuff for their classes, the clothes, Halloween costumes, Valentine's Day things. You know what I'm saying? I think that will always be a part of me. But the nonprofit, ideally, that would be what I do like full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you figure out how to do the shipping and set up? I know you're like, I don't know how people found me and reached out to me, but assuming you had a live order form that people could readily
Honestly,
access.
still today, I just take orders via DM or text. Like I don't even have like a system for real. People just DM, and I'm
There's
like,
no website.
nope.
Oh wow.
There's not even like a TikTok. There's only just the Instagram. And I don't even have that many followers on there, but like it's working. That's all I know, really.
I think there's something to be said about, because a lot of people are investing, which you should invest in social media marketing. Like, it's a great tool.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's something said about the organic. There are people who exist outside of the social media
and it's
ecosystem.
definitely word of mouth, I feel like, too. It's like, especially with the grad, they see people with the stoles and they wait all year to come back and be like, hey, I seen that you made this person stole X, Y, and Z. Now, the other people, I do like on my personal TikTok, I will post like, oh, I just made this, like, from time to time. But also just like with TikTok, some things can like go viral, go away, then they can re-go viral. And I think people are seeing some of my stuff that I've made and being like, oh, okay, let me reach out. Because there's people from across the country reaching out, like people in Arizona, people in deep California somewhere. Like I'm having like orders come from everywhere. I think that's so dope. I think that's so cool. And I know that if I really like locked in and like promoted, posted more consistently, did all of those things, then it could truly flourish. Don't know if I'm ready for all that right now because I have a system. It's working. But I do know that you'll get out of it what you put into it. I think because I'm having fun with it. Like I'm creating like original pieces. It's going to do what it needs to do.
I think that's something a lot of people don't talk about enough of. Sometimes a passion project, even though it is profitable, it does not have to be systematized. And because it does take the joy out of it when like, oh, you didn't fill out the form. I have this, or versus like, okay, it feels like a friend is still reaching out to ask me for something.
It's like that. Like I don't even do like deposits or anything like that either. Like I just kind of like, we're gonna get it right. It's gonna be all right. Like it's gonna work out. So yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay. I love that. And then also, I don't think we talked about this. How'd you figure out how to do the shipping and packaging and things like that?
So for the packaging and stuff, one of my sister's friends, he had like a clothing brand. And so she was helping him through like getting his own packaging and stuff too. So she put me on to a lot of like, Sticker Mule. They do like $9 samples where they'll send you like 10 or 20 like of poly mailers just for a sample. So I was ordering those, just a couple of $9 like samplers, and I was just using those just while I was getting started. And I make all of like my business cards and my thank you cards and my clothing tags and stuff on Canva. Then I just print them out myself. So yeah, it was very much DIY, very much on your own. Like, and then for the shipping piece of it, I think that was the issue too, because at first I was going with like just FedEx. I was doing just kind of like taking orders in there as they came. And then I started doing like, okay, like pay for it and like print it at home. And then I moved over to USPS and I do like kind of like bulk shipping with them now. So
cool. So that is all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
But in the spirit of this being a diary of a side hustler, we do have an actual diary, which you have already written in. Mm-hmm. And so I would love for you to read a piece of what you wrote, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I'll grab. Okay, so I'm going to hand this to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so you had a prompt. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what the prompt was?
The prompt was to give yourself advice about something that is currently bothering you.
Okay, so you can read all of what you wrote, or you can summarize or read a piece, completely up to you.
Okay, I'll summarize.
Okay.
So let me tell you what the piece, the something that's currently bothering me. I think that my life is going great. I have a dog, I have a house, I have my businesses, I'm thriving. But I feel like I want to thrive with someone. I think that's bothering me because a lot of my friends, almost all of my friends, are like in a relationship. Like I like to travel. I want to do something. I want to do that stuff with someone. And yeah. So basically, I just kind of said, like, take your time, like, be patient, like. A kind, patient, exciting, like, love will find you at some point, and when it do, you'll be ready. Like right now, right now you're gearing up. I don't think previously I was ready. I was focused on so many other things, and I have to make space in my life for that, because that's a whole nother like business, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother thing to take on, and it's not all fun and games all the time. So it's like I have to be able to make space and kind of like be ripe for the picking.